And so our journey begins here at Hoe Avenue and Westchester Avenue, where we're taking the BX27 bus all the way to the end of the line at Classen Point in Soundview. And here we are at Classen Point Park, a little bitty place in a very big neighborhood. But the point is to see what's here and then get to the ferry. And there's a few things to see actually. This is the part of the East River. There's the Thralls Neck Bridge, and further in the distance is the Whitestone Bridge, and then the Thralls Neck Bridge. Let's get closer. And everybody's out and about. Nice warm spring day. I don't see any masks. If you were here, you would smell the barbecue. Make you hungry. So that is the Whitestone Bridge. You know, sometimes when you have your camera, you just get lucky. As when I caught this plane flying by the sun as it approached LaGuardia Airport for its landing. Up ahead is the Classen Point Ferry Landing. It's a new addition, opening in August 2019 and providing service from Soundview, Bronx to the east side of Manhattan. The ferry is delayed. That's why you see people hanging out just waiting for the boat. And at last, there it is.
Goal here to make it easier, to make it more convenient for commuters who live here in the Bronx and are heading down to lower Manhattan. So the first ride, it will take off from the dock here behind us at 6:30 this morning here in Classen Point Park, and the ferry is scheduled to leave about every half hour during the rush hours during the morning as well as the evening. Now let's show you a map. The ferry will begin here in Soundview, then make its way to stops at East 90th Street, East 34th Street, and finally Wall Street. In total, the ride is supposed to be about 46 minutes. The ferry costs the same as a subway ride, $2.75 per ride. The city did start this ferry service last year in other locations. Right now, there are multiple routes up and running along the East River, Far Rockaway, South Brooklyn, Astoria, and this route starting here today in Soundview. The city is also expected to launch another line on the Lower East Side later this month. Now, the other ferries, they have had a lot of success, more than 3 million rides last year alone, surpassing expectations. So officials are hoping for the same success here in the Bronx. Again, that first maiden voyage ride set to take off here around 6:30 this morning.
As soon as we took off, I discovered just how crazy the winds were on this trip. So windy that I couldn't even do any kind of narration, especially about this strange island we're approaching. But I'll let that be taken care of by this video.
There, an island that's been abandoned for more than 5 decades looms. Nature's been slowly eating away at the structures that used to house thousands of people every year. The mysterious island is called North Brother Island, and in 1885, Riverside Hospital used the island to quarantine and treat patients who contracted smallpox. There was only one way off the island. As long as you were contagious, you were forced to stay at the hospital. If you weren't cured, you'd spend the rest of your life there, and all of eternity too. Patients' remains were required to be buried there. Now the place is vacant but for ghosts. Vines extend up the sides of the building and consume the brick structures that are spread out for more than 20 acres. Windows are shattered both by vines and unwanted visitors sneaking onto the island. The only way to visit the island is to get explicit permission from the Parks Department. They'll usually only grant permission to people conducting research. and then getting there is a project itself. There's no docks or ports left on the island, so it's a challenge. You'd have to take a small motorboat or rowboat and essentially beach yourself just to step foot on its shores. But that hasn't stopped intrepid explorers from visiting over the years. Due to the remote and inaccessible nature of the island, there isn't a great deal of vandalism, but people have made their marks known under the cover of night, making the most of the place's eerie reputation. There you can find, for instance, this ominous writing which reads, "Help me, I'm being held here against my will." It's unclear whether this is just a piece of vandalism or a genuine cry for help from a time when the island was inhabited.
Now approaching the Hell Gate Bridge, which is used by the railroad. It was named by the Dutch because of the treacherous water pathway we're about to pass through. Coming up next is the easternmost section of the Triborough Bridge. At least that's what it used to be called before they named it the RFK Bridge. Not a great name because it doesn't tell anybody where it goes like it used to. It goes from Randall's Island to Queens. Randall's Island, you say? What's the story behind that? Let's find out.
Randall's Island sits in the East River between East Harlem, the South Bronx, and Astoria, Queens. This is that big island you'll see below as you cross over the RFK Bridge. It wasn't always so big. What you're now seeing are Randall's Island and Ward's Island, two islands that were joined together by landfill to form one bigger island. For hundreds of years, both islands were home to a range of public facilities, such as a potter's field, where bodies of the poor and the unclaimed were laid to rest. At other times, they were also home to a smallpox hospital, a juvenile detention center, the world's largest insane asylum, and a home for Civil War veterans. After the two islands were joined by the early 1960s, the island simply became Randall's Island, and after a major transformation, it has become one of the city's main recreational hubs, hosting a multitude of special events. Randall's Island houses a state-of-the-art track and field facility, a golf center, tennis courts, over 60 playing fields, and miles of bike and pedestrian paths. There's even a bee sanctuary and a gorgeous flower garden at the water's edge. Besides driving, you can get to Randall's Island via the RFK Bridge walkway from Astoria, Queens, by the Ward's Island Bridge or bus from Manhattan, and from the Bronx via the new Randall's Island Connector, a pedestrian and bicycle-only path and bridge.
After dropping off and picking up passengers, we continue on our way downtown to 34th Street. We're now passing by the northern tip of Roosevelt Island. Let's learn all about it.
Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island is the skinny little island that wedges itself in the East River right between Queens and Manhattan. Like some of the other New York islands, it too formerly housed an insane asylum, otherwise known as the New York City Lunatic Asylum, a smallpox hospital, which currently lies in ruins, and a penitentiary. This highly overlooked island is currently home to 12,000 residents and has a high potential to be a cool little offshoot of Manhattan if someone would only give it some time and attention. There are many ways to get to Roosevelt Island. You can cross the little bridge from Queens, you can ride the train in, take the ferry, or you can ride in style by what I think is one of the coolest transit rides in all of New York City, the Roosevelt Island Tram. For just a swipe of a Metro card, you get to ride the tram right alongside the Queensboro Bridge for a bird's eye view of Manhattan's Upper East Side, the East River, and all of Roosevelt Island. From the island itself, you will get one of the most spectacular views of the Manhattan skyline while enjoying peaceful strolls along the river.
On the East River, you can easily see this strange building, which looks to me like two legs with one knee bent into the other, like the poster for Kinky Boots.
And today we bring you the American Copper Buildings, also known as 626 First Avenue. This is quickly becoming one of the most iconic buildings in all of Manhattan. If you look directly behind me, you'll see these dual skyscraper 48-story buildings that look as if they're about to split apart and go in opposite directions. But in fact, they are tied at the waist. The building is clad in copper. This is an architectural marvel. According to the developers, this is the first such bridge connected in Manhattan in almost 80 years. This building is more than 760,000 square feet, over 750 apartments. One bedrooms range in the $4,500 price point. Studios range in the $3,500 price point. You have magnificent sweeping views of Manhattan skyline, Empire State Building, East River.
And here we are arriving at 34th Street. Time to get off. It's a bit of a long walk to get from the boat to the gangway to the landing, as you can see. Don't you hate it when people walking in front of you make every single turn that you make? Well, according to the City Mapper app, the bus is not due to show up for 12 minutes. So should I wait or should I walk? What's that in the distance? Is that what I think it is? Yeah, it's the M34 bus. Early! We're all set, folks. Come on. See you next time.